Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Tuesday, the 20th of July, 2021. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. Whether you want your home decorated for Christmas or you want to do this as a business to earn some extra money, or perhaps you just want to grow your own business, give them a call. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York on Long Island. 631-957-5106 is the telephone number. And the website is liholidaylighting.com. And, of course, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. And good idea right now, perhaps, to just kind of take inventory of what you have with regards to hurricane emergency supplies and see what needs to be replaced. 631-756-1125, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. So, Mr. Rayo is here tonight. Came in a little late, so let's get the show started.
Well, I'm late for a reason.
Yeah, I know. I see the reason.
Unexpectedly, I have probably, Joe, you're a very old friend of mine. We've known each other now for better than 40 years. But
yes.
The gentleman I have next to me I've known him since, how old? Like 1964 or 65?
I think 65.
Yeah.
This is not. Is this a Sister Charles Edwards alumni?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. Oh.
Yes.
In nominis Patris et the Filius et the Spiritus Sanctus. Yes. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
Allow me to introduce the distinguished Andrew Maniglia, former deputy mayor of Yonkers. Yes.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yes. And he went to St. Benedict's Parish. I went to St. Benedict's for catechism and Sunday school when I was in training for confirmation.
Right.
But I too were at various times subjected to the wrath of Sister Charles Edwards.
We in the business call it the terror of Sister Charles Edwards.
Well, I went to St. Philip and James on Boston Post Road. They closed down. I think last year at Boston Road at 213th Street, and I had Sister Germaine. Okay, so you right off the bat, when you start with what Joe you would refer to as a $10 word, Germaine. Okay.
Yes.
And you know what? If she was over 100 when I didn't have her, but she was still teaching. I deep down inside, I think she's still alive somewhere. She just must be. So I think every Catholic school in our generation had a Sister Germaine or a Sister Charles Edwards, and that woman had a right hook that she had gotten in golden gloves, for sure.
A rifle for an arm.
Yes. So anyway, he was about to leave, and I said, "You have to stay and say hello to all of our friends out there, along with Mr. Chiappi, because when I was telling stories about Sister Charles Edwards, he was thinking about Douglas Edwards."
Well, there was also Sister Ellen Mary. She was pretty rough too. So.
When they have a female and a male name together, you got to watch out. Actually, since you're here, because the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight, Joe, is the Blue Origin space launch today, which I know you watched and I watched. I have to tell you quite honestly, I found it, and I'm thinking those on our chat board that watched it as well. I haven't been that excited about watching something like that in a long, long time. It was wonderful to see not only the whole launch the whole launch thing, but watching it come down and land. I think I was more fascinated by the fact that
which one, the rocket or the capsule, or both?
Both. But the capsule itself coming, I mean, the whole thing coming down, and the rocket. I mean, just watching them come down and land. That was that was phenomenal.
You and I were on a mutual friend, Joe Moskowitz, formerly of News 12, and a very good friend of ours. And I made a comment about Gayle King on CBS News about. And really, you think back to the days of Walter Cronkite and Wally Schirra and Chet Huntley and all these guys. And then you have Nora O'Donnell trying to conduct an interview with Charles Bolin, a former astronaut and former NASA administrator. And right in the middle of the conversation, you hear Gayle King interrupt saying, "Oh, Nora, come on, Nora." And they go back to her and she starts blithering about something that struck her, that's totally thing. And then she has the audacity, instead of throwing it back and saying, "I want to ask Mr. Bolin a question. I want to ask." And then later on, she even said, "Well, I know nothing about science. I know nothing about this." And I'm saying to myself, well, lady, if you don't know anything about this, why did they send you to Texas to cover this?
Because she's fabulous, Joe.
I suppose the big salary.
No, she's
fabulous. She's got she wears the best clothes on television. She is fabulous. Yeah. I will tell you, I watched the coverage on CNBC, and their coverage was terrific. You had just enough reporter talking, and then it stopped. And you heard everything from the launch site. You heard all the, the radio background noise, and there was none of that nonsense going on. They did a really terrific job in their coverage today. But it was very exciting to see this next.
I couldn't even hear that they had a sonic boom, and
I heard it.
Said, "What was that? Well, and I didn't even hear the sonic boom because she's like constantly talking or whatever." So
it was really though.
Lady, I finally switched to CNN.
Well, look, let's not devote any more time to that nonsense, okay? But just watching all of this. I mean, this really we're going at what seems to be the beginning of the next generation of space exploration, space development, space industry. I mean, unfortunately, you and I and the three of us are going to be long gone from this earth when it really gets underway. But I can only imagine where this is going to be a couple of 100 years from now.
Well, 1903, we had the Wright brothers. Right. And who would have said or thought that like 50 to 60 or 70 years or beyond, that we'd have people flying from one end of the earth to the other, and not just a few people, but I mean in these big vehicles that carry hundreds of people. Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen in 50 or 60 years? They'll all be looking back on this day, July the 20th, 2021, saying that's when it all began. Or maybe you want to look back to when Mr. Branson was up in the air with his flight a few days ago or whatever. Are you getting antsy?
I am. I'm gonna excuse myself, yes. But I've enjoyed this thoroughly, and I would just like to do it next time during the sunshine.
All right.
So I could see going home. Joe, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you.
To be here. And I'm always available for Dominican nun stories. It's much more expensive than just one nun, because I had 8 years of that.
I know. Well,
I will say this: they made me what I am. Well, they were very good.
At the end of the day,
ultimately, when I look back, at the end of the day, they were great.
Where'd you go to high school?
They were really great. Spelman High School in the Bronx.
I'm a Spelman grad.
Are you?
A class of 77. So you must have been what, 7 years older than you. Yeah, you were what, 74, 75? 75? 75. Yeah, it was class of 77.
I knew both of you.
I didn't know you were Spelman alumni. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That I am.
Great. Wow.
I'm going to because he doesn't know his way around the house. But I'll escort him and point the way, and I will be back.
All right.
Last story now. You brought up Spelman real quickly. Vic Tallarico was a good friend of mine. He was your music teacher.
Yes, Mr. Tallarico. His son, Steve Tyler.
Right. Tyler, and I got to know Tyler very well because I'm a pianist too, Joe will tell you. I've been playing since I'm 6, and I wound up... Vic Tallarico was a Juilliard graduate, and I got to study with him. I was fortunate enough and got to know Stephen pretty well because they lived get this, when Joe and I were in the Bronx, I went to Spelman. They were in the country in Yonkers.
Right. Yes.
My mother would take me up to Yonkers
in the mountains
and sit in the car and wait for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small
world.
It's a great story. Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good to know a fellow Spelman.
Yeah. Same here. Same here.
Thank you very much for the intrusion.
No worries. Anytime. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Great. Bye-bye.
Well, that was a nice surprise. All right. So let me just explain, and I guess I'm going to have to re-explain it when Joe gets here, with regards to the poll that I can do polls now on the live streams. So I posed this question, and of course everybody's been talking about the fact that the smoke, which judging from the satellite, looking at the satellite, I mean it's pretty extensive, and a number of people that I know talking about how you could smell it everywhere. So the Storm Prediction Center has elevated the risk from marginal to slight risk for Wednesday. Now, today, and I'll bring up the high temperature map. Let me, I'll set it up here for when Joe comes back and we can talk about it some more. The high temperatures today all wound up finishing about roughly 4 to 5 degrees lower than what was being forecast. Most of the forecasts were for highs in the low to mid 90s, and in reality, it was more like upper 80s to around 90. So I was thinking, as far as tomorrow is concerned, that if we wind up with all the smoke in the air again tomorrow, and it looks like we will, it's going to cut down on the daytime heating. Now we have this cold front and this upper trough that's going to be swinging through. And if you look at that, when we look at it on the models, you'll see that the trough is somewhat impressive, and this is a solid push that's coming in. Big dew point differences ahead of it versus what's behind it. There'll be a lot of instability running ahead of it. But if the smoke cuts down on the amount of sunlight and we wind up with less daytime heating, are we going to see that impact the development of thunderstorms and severe weather? So I guess it's kind of a judgment question in terms of the outcome, because it's sort of a counterfactual. We can't prove what we don't know. What we would have got, what we're going to would we have gotten the same, or are we going to get the same a thunderstorm activity regardless, or is the cutting back on the daytime heating perhaps making the atmosphere not quite as unstable and resulting in thunderstorms that aren't as intense? And I did a quick Google search on that question, and apparently you can find answers to that in both directions. There are studies that support the notion that smoke actually enhances the development of thunderstorms, and it could also cut back on the amount of rain, but have the remaining rain be more intense. And then there are some other studies, for example, studies in the Amazon show that smoke actually inhibits cloud formation. But on the other hand, when you're looking at the Amazon, you're looking at a rainforest. So, as opposed to what we have, which is not a rainforest. So I posed that question, and so far, of those that voted, there are 56 votes on the chat board there. So far, now 57, so more people are voting. 51% of you have voted yes. 28% so far have voted no. And 21%, and I'll put myself in the not sure category right now, because I truly am not sure where this is going to go. 21%. But take a look at the high temperatures for today. Again, remember, we were supposed to be about 4 or 5 degrees higher than what these numbers are show up for highs. And this definitely was impacted by the sunlight. Now, everybody pretty much topped out in the middle to upper 80s. A couple of elevated areas that you see here. I bet you one of these is Hazleton, where you got to only 79. But most highs were in the mid to upper 80s. And further south, down in southern Pennsylvania, Maryland, and northeastern Virginia, temperatures should have gotten up to about 95 or 96, but here they only made it to 90 or 91. There's an odd 93 there in the Washington, D.C. area. Looks like 91 for Baltimore. So it definitely impacted on the amount of daytime heating. In the meantime, though, take a look at the radar tonight in upstate New York. Now this and going now into western New England. Now this area, the Storm Prediction Center for today started out with a marginal risk and elevated it to a slight risk. And it looks at here, if you certainly for what we're seeing with thunderstorms this evening, they look very robust. So it seems to me, at least from the standpoint of what's going on tonight, that the dynamics with the upper trough and the cold front that is moving southeastward are really holding the upper hand here as far as impacting the development of thunderstorms. The smoke here seems to not have had any impact at all. And even though the amount of daytime heating was definitely reduced, we still have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings that are up at the moment, and even a couple of flash flood warnings that are up as well, and also some storms that are sitting back up in western Pennsylvania. Everywhere else in New England, a little bit of shower activity going on right now in southeastern Maine. Otherwise, there really isn't much happening from Massachusetts down through Connecticut, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and in Virginia. And then you head further south into the southeastern part of the U.S., and this kind of looks like what the radar did yesterday, where you have fairly widespread activity. It's not complete coverage here in terms of rainfall. Hello. But we do have some showers and storms, and actually some heavy storms across central Georgia and in northwest Georgia. I'm under a flash flood watch for later tonight and for tomorrow. Just what I need, more rain, because we had rain all night long last night and into the first part of this morning. And it's been relatively quiet since then, but the radar certainly showing more showers and storms coming our way. So while you were gone, Joe, just a couple of things. There's a poll on the chat board tonight, because I have we now can do polls. So I pose this question: with respect to all the smoke that's in the air today and tomorrow ahead of this next cold front, and the Storm Prediction Center putting up elevating the risk tomorrow to slight risk. They even put in a 2% tornado risk and a 15% chance of hail. And of course, the strong winds. But my question is, because the daytime heating today was cut back because of the smoke, so the high temperatures wound up about 4 or 5 degrees lower than what was being modeled. If that happens tomorrow, is that going to impact the development of thunderstorms? My answer to that question is not sure. You can make arguments, and there's stuff all over the internet. I did a quick look up on it. There's stuff all over the place that supports both ideas, enhancing that the smoke will actually enhance the thunderstorms, and that the smoke will put a lid on cloud and thunderstorm development. So I'm just wondering what you're thinking about this.
I'm going to go with your camp, Joe, and say not sure. This is something I haven't really given much thought to. If it's indeed that going to be the case tomorrow, with somewhat lighter precipitation, somewhat less in terms of sunshine, but I turn my stupid phone off here. It may play a role. Certainly we are going to get showers and even some peals or rumbles of thunder, but it may not be quite the activity that the folks over at, and I wonder if the people at SPC are taking this into account as well, or just
they didn't mention it.
Saying, all right,
they didn't mention it. And the thing is, in upstate New York, in upstate New York and in northwestern New England, where they raised the level to slight from marginal earlier today, they're getting hammered pretty good. The radar, I just showed the radar from up there, and I'll bring it up again because you just came back on the scene here. The thunderstorms that are going on across upstate New York, right along I-90 from Buffalo on eastward, there are more than half a dozen severe thunderstorm warnings that are up right now, and even a couple of special marine warnings in Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. The line is pretty impressive. So this suggests that the upper trough is holding, well, I guess we could say it's holding the upper hand here, and the smoke is not having any impact it's not having a negative impact on the development of thunderstorms. I mean, tomorrow the trough approaches us. It's fairly sharp. There's some good jet streaks that I noticed on the 700 millibar map. But again, I asked the question: what if temperatures only get up to about 80 to 85 as opposed to 85 to 90? Is that going to make a difference? I don't. This will be interesting to see because we don't get this very often. In fact, I don't ever remember having this being a part of the forecast problem.
Yeah, I don't remember factoring it into a forecast either. Although I do remember on more than a few occasions having this type of situation where the smoke has been rather thick. I mean, right as of just a little while ago, in fact, just as I was walking Andrew out the door and looked off toward the northwest, and the sun right now looks like as if I was looking through a pair of eclipse glasses. I mean, it is a deep shade of red, and the light has been considerably attenuated or diminished. So it's rather, in fact, it's so thick, Joe, that you can actually see it here at ground level. I mean, I mean, we were looking at, Renata was talking about this earlier today. She said, look in the backyard. He said, that looks like smoke, isn't it? I said, yeah. Well, it's supposed to be a loft. He said, no, it looks like smoke right here. So it's incredible. It's causing a situation not just aloft, but also at vertical, or excuse me, at horizontal level as well. Looking straight across, it's amazing how thick it is, and it will be interesting to see whether or not tomorrow we do get hold of. I will notice one thing about tomorrow's convective outlook, the day 2 outlook. The last few times we've had severe weather or a threat of severe weather here in the tri-state area, they've always given us the probabilities for tornado and for wind. They never said anything about hail. They always had hail out of the picture. But tomorrow,
they've got
15% chance of hail across a rather broad area. So, I guess that.
Well, let's show everyone. Let me bring the map up. Before I do that, though, the visible satellite, Joe. You look, the smoke is so that milky white from New England across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes goes all the way back into the central and southern plains. I mean, it really stands out.
Yes.
It very much stands out, and also the contrast. By the way, on the upper part of the satellite loop up in Canada, near Lake Superior, because they're in the dry, cooler air that's coming southeastward. Look how clean that air looks. That's going to get here tomorrow night and for Thursday and for Friday. So that should at least get rid of this stuff, at least for the time being.
Well, the atmosphere will be cleansed, and the front will act like a gigantic whisk broom. That may not be the best analogy here, but the front will indeed push a lot of that stuff out to sea and open the door for some drier, less humid, and also, yes, indeed, thank goodness, clearer air here as we move into the latter part of this week.
The Storm Prediction Centers tonight, the marginal risk down to just south of I-90, and the slight risk, of course, in the area right now that we showed you on the radar that's getting pounded. There's no other severe weather risk anywhere else around the country, just general thunderstorms, and you see that area. Now, here's tomorrow's, and of course, right after I wrote something earlier today regarding the risks for Long Island, about 10 minutes later, SPC this afternoon upgrade, because they didn't upgrade it this morning, they upgraded it this afternoon, added the slight risk from southern New Jersey northeast to southeastern New England, including Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, and then the marginal risk was pushed down into eastern Virginia and down to the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. And on the northern side, the marginal risk runs up into coastal Maine. But like as you say, they also added this 2% risk of tornado from New Jersey to southeastern New England, the 15% probability of wind gusts of at least 50 knots or higher within 25 miles of any point, and a 15%, as you said, a 15% for hail. this trough coming down, Joe. It's a cold upper trough that's coming down. So there's going to be a lot of instability tomorrow. But then I go back to the question about how much daytime heating we're going to have if the smoke filters out the sunshine, because it did knock temperatures down today. Instead of making low to mid 90s, it only made mid to upper 80s.
Now, maybe my nose is not as sharp or as acute as my friend, one of my astronomy buddies on Long Island, Steve Liebler, on the Astronomical Society of Long Island internet list. He has simply one word for the subject, which is smoke, and he writes, and he's again out on Long Island, out in central Long Island, Joe, out in your stomping grounds, old stomping grounds. He said there's now a very strong odor of smoke outside, the smell of wood smoke. The smoke layer in the atmosphere must have come down to ground level. So in some places you may actually be able to not just see the smoke,
but smell it. A few people have said that, and that we usually don't spend a whole lot of time. But obviously, there's all sorts of air quality alerts that are up for Maryland, Delaware, South Central, Southeastern Pennsylvania. For some reason, in some counties in in southern and central New Jersey, but not others. Most of North Jersey, New York City, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, the Hudson Valley. Of course, there's a working severe thunderstorm watch that's up for upstate New York and a whole slew of warnings. Also, air quality issues in Wisconsin and Minnesota. And out in the west, you've got red flag up in the northwest. And there are thunderstorms, by the way, that are going on in the northwestern part of the U.S. You see them here. I don't know why they have the red. I didn't look to see what the red flag warnings are up. These don't look like dry thunderstorms to me. But nonetheless, the southwest monsoon it seems to be in full swing, and you're seeing showers and storms again in Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, western Colorado. The eastern part of the state's dry. The western part of the state getting into some showers and storms, scattered around through Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and into North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota. WPC, our friends at WPC, we need about 2 inches or more, at least. Oh, now all of a sudden, what happened here? Hang on. I
lost you. Huh?
Uh-oh.
Now I can hear you now and back, but I lost you for about 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah, no, because the website just kind of... I was putting WPC's website went down. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay. Well,
I don't see you. I mean, I just see your running behind, but I can see the map now. Now it says this site can't be reached.
Yeah, no, the NOAA site crashed at the same time that you lost me, so I don't know what's going on. They are forecasting 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches. Now, some of that is going to be from tomorrow. Some of that is going to be probably Saturday night into Sunday morning. The record looks New York City needs about 2.5 inches to jump from number 4, fourth wettest July, to number 1, to the wettest July. So we'll see if it gets there. But they got 10 days to get a couple of inches more of rain. The surface map showing a front offshore, and then of course you've got this cold front that's now beginning to move southward from southeastern Canada as low pressure moves along it, and there's a nice dry cool high to the northwest of that, west of James Bay. That'll be building into the northeast and mid-Atlantic states for Thursday and Friday and for the first part of Saturday, and that will mean dew point relief. And across the south, in my land, stationary frontal boundary, and I'm south of that frontal boundary. It didn't get out of the 70s again today. And we've got showers and thunderstorms running around. So some places, it's very interesting, Joe, this summer so far, because it really, you've had your share of hot days. I have not had my share of hot days, at least not yet.
Yeah, have you hit 90?
No.
You haven't hit 90 yet.
No, I haven't, crazy. And I haven't seen. I haven't really seen 80 degree highs above 80 degrees. I think only about 3 or 4 times this month.
It's amazing. Amazing. And meanwhile, we've had any number. Well, up here we've had more 90-degree days than Central Park. I think Central Park has only had about 3 days in the 90s, 3 or 4. But what has really been making it bad this summer has been the humidity. But I've certainly had more. I've had more than twice as many 90-degree days up here in Putnam Valley. And we had one day where it was like 96, 97. And I can't believe that you guys are down there have yet to see 90 degrees and have had a tough time cracking the 80-degree mark. If you can give me sharing capabilities, we can take a look at the smoke map.
Okay, you got it.
You had your smoke today.
You got it.
There we go. Hang on. Ba-bum, ba-bum.
And
so
let me switch.
Here is the fire and smoke map, and again, this is also a map that provides you. If you look at the legend here in the lower left-hand corner, a legend of air quality. So the green circles are indicative of good air quality. Yellow is moderate. Orange is unhealthy for sensitive groups, and red is just plain all out unhealthy. And if I zoom in, you can see a little bit better the area of smoke, which is shown in various layers of gray. Here's where the smoke plume first develops. Then we have a little bit of a darker shade of gray here. The darkest shade right now is where we are. Here's New York City, Long Island, New York State is around here. The color is so deep in gray that you can, unless I close in really rapid, really close in, you can see the political boundaries, the state boundaries. But you can see we're right in it. We're right in the thickest part of the worst part of the haze and smoke here in the New York metropolitan area. And of course, all this red indicating that the air is unhealthy. No kidding with all of that. Back off a little ways.
Why? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just going to ask you. I was just going to ask you to do that, so we could show the rest of the country.
Yeah. They still have more smoke up here, but at least it's a lighter shade of gray, and it's not as dark or as thick as what we have. But it looks like virtually, it's not the entire country, but 80% of the country is enduring with some kind of haze and smoke situation because of those forest fires. I'm having trouble here with this, but you see a thick haze layer over the western states, a little bit thinner over the high plains. Is there any place that doesn't have any kind of smoke problem? Yeah, South Texas. So let's all go to Brownsville, and we can get away from the haze. Also, Florida doesn't seem to have.
Well, over any me, problem. I don't have any smoke issue.
You don't have any. You don't have any of it either. So
nope.
Yeah. So
once you go up in eastern Tennessee, probably right where 64 goes, right where 27 go. I'm sorry, 26 goes into 81. That's where you start to get into the smoke, and it gets smokier as you move your way up into northwestern Virginia.
Right. Here's Knoxville, Asheville, North Carolina, Goldsboro, North Carolina, the Carolina coastline.
The yellow, by the way, means moderate. The yellow means moderate. Yeah, you start to get the reds. Really are the ones to focus on because that's where it's unhealthy.
Yes, and it is unhealthy from Philadelphia to New York, all the way up to not quite to Boston. Boston's in orange, so they have unhealthy for sensitive groups, not necessarily for all groups. But wow. It's horrible.
All right, let's see how we can help clean this up. Because what we could use is something, as we showed you, that dry air on the satellite that is on up in the northern lakes and up in central Canada, or in east central Canada, I should say, moving southeastward behind that front and taking a look at the upper air over the next 2 weeks. We still have troughing here in the eastern part of the United States. Now, this is today, and here comes our trough for tomorrow. That's a pretty strong shortwave for tomorrow evening. Again, not sure if the less daytime heating is going to have impact here, but certainly the upper trough is going to provide some support to compensate it in the other direction. And seeing what's going on in upstate New York tonight would also be another checkbox in the idea that the storms are going to be, that there are going to be severe thunderstorms for tomorrow. This trough drops the westerlies down, and of course, by the time we get to Thursday, our air is now going to be coming from north central Canada into the northeast and mid-Atlantic states, so that should get the smoke out of here, at least for the time being. And in the longer term, as that trough lifts out, going into the weekends, could take its time, by the way. So we should stay low humidity for the northeast and mid-Atlantic states. I'm thinking even into Saturday, Joe, the dew points don't come up that quickly. You have to wait till Sunday, and that means maybe a warm front comes through Saturday night with some showers and storms, and then the dew points go up, and there could be some scattered storms late in the day on Sunday. That's kind of how I was playing. I'm playing it for the weekend. Not too bad. If it winds up raining Saturday night into early Sunday morning for a short time, I don't know that that'll impact many people if it happens while you're asleep. And then longer term, for next week, we're going to be on the edge of those westerlies. So troughs are going to be swinging around through central Canada and into eastern Canada. So that probably means more cold fronts coming through here. So it can't get too hot for too long in a pattern like this. Going right into the first few days of August. There's a nice deep trough along the east coast. Not going to see any heat waves with a pattern like this. Not in the east, anyway.
And I stand corrected. The chairman, Scott Driller, pointing out that so far, and this amazes me. I honestly did not realize this, but according to Scott, Central Park has hit 90 or above 12 times this year.
Wow.
Now, if we have hit that 90 mark at Central Park that many times, it must be on more often than not. It's been the kind of days where it's been like at 89 forever, and then it just hits 90 or gets to maybe 91 for a few moments and then drops back, because it really has not been the kind of stretch where we've had extraordinarily or extreme heat. There was a stretch, and this is what sticks in my mind. The 3 or 4 times that 90 degrees stuck in my mind is that we had temperatures like in the mid 90s, 94, 95, 96. But I'm amazed that we've had that many days at Central Park, 12 so far this summer, at or above 90. So it has been
you might be up at around 16 or 17, because there were a number of days that I recall where you got to 90 or better, and the city did not. And also Newark, Philadelphia, all those places. I don't know.
Newark.
Newark's got 102. Yeah, they have the 102 to stand for. All right, let's take a look at what's going on across the eastern 2/3 of the U.S. for Wednesday. And here's your trough and thunderstorms. Now, remember, the short range and certainly the global models are not going to do a good job with these thunderstorms. It's always better to look at what the conditions are, what the dynamics are, and wait for let the radars tell you, because you saw what happened last week on that one particular day, how horrible the models did, showing not a whole lot of thunderstorm activity, and it was all lit up the radars were lit up like Christmas trees. Once that goes by, we get that dry air and a nice high for Thursday, Friday, and then for again, I think the dry air will hold on to an extent on Saturday. Probably get to some high clouds that'll come in. This is Friday. And by the way, sometimes the GFS likes to show precip where it's not really there. There might be some showers way up in upstate New York, but that would be scattered stuff. And you see that little precip that's off the Carolinas, but off the Delmarva Peninsula down to North Carolina. But I'm not really too concerned about that. And then the high moves out. We start to bring the humidity up. Here comes a warm front for Saturday night into early Sunday morning. We'll see some showers and storms. And then after that, another cold front, weak front comes through Sunday night. Looks like next week starts out dry, going into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then after that, it warms up a bit before another cold front comes through next Thursday, and then on it goes. Here comes the next high. And of course, as each one of these fronts go by, you get some humidity relief. and some temperature relief. So really, it's a fairly uneventful pattern for the next 2 weeks if this is correct. And there's nothing in the tropics on the Atlantic side to worry about at the moment, so that's a good thing. And here's, Mr. Rayo's got the 6 to 10 day outlook here from the climate folks.
Yeah, the Climate Prediction Center is really forecasting a good, I would have to say at least 80% of the country with below normal precipitation probabilities. The only place where you'd find above would be where they need it, in places like Nevada and Utah, and over in parts of northern sections of Arizona, southern Idaho. But look at everywhere else around the country, below normal probabilities for precipitation. Now, this is for the period from July 26th to July 30th. And if I just back up a little bit, and we could take a look at the precip on the 8 to 14 day prog. This is from the 28th of July to the 3rd of August. And you figure by that time, yeah, you'll start seeing some areas of near normal or even maybe above normal. No, look at this. Below normal all the way through the first few days of August. So, Joe, I suspect that whatever we get on Sunday in terms of precipitation, that might be the last significant precipitation we see around here for a number of days beyond, if indeed you take this precipitation probability outlook from the Climate Prediction Center at face value. They're calling for dry weather or spell of unusually dry conditions below normal precip for a number of days, taking us right on through the rest of July and on into the early part of August.
All right. So we have Briller Jeopardy tonight. So you've got the questions, and while you're getting them, I just want to make it just a couple of say a couple of things. First off, we have a super chat hit tonight from Wayne Stuckart. Thank you, Wayne. Most appreciated as always. Thank you for hitting super chat. And also want to say from the chairman, Scott Briller, that his mom is doing better, which is great news. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that the improvement continues to roll along before the roller derby tournament coming up in a few weeks. And also, I just want to give a big hello to Joe Gaffney, who has been struggling since having COVID months ago, and he still has dealing with impacts from that. So it was nice to see him on the chat earlier, and also the chairman now hitting Scott Briller hitting a super chat. Thank you, Scott. And he wants to. You could see his message, Joe, about the article that he sent to you about the biggest planetarium in the world opening in Shanghai.
Yes, I read that. Yes, and it's interesting to me because a lot of planetariums now are not doing what used to be the standard planetarium shows. They fall back now and they're using the planetarium projector or the machine for something quite different. Of course, back in the 70s, they used to run the heck out of the Zeiss projector at the Hayden Planetarium when they had laser concerts on Friday and Saturday night. And I still remember, Joe, I went to one of those concerts, and before the show began, normally in a planetarium show, you tell people, don't flash your camera because that'll blind everybody during the show. But in this particular case, back in the 70s, they said, we just want to tell everybody there is no smoking of anything.
By the way, our poll tonight, which asked the question, will the smoke impact severe thunderstorm development on Wednesday? Because SPC does have a slight risk from New Jersey on up into southeastern New England. 50%, Joe, say that it will have an impact. 23% say it will have no impact. And 27% are not sure. So it's no impact or not sure has half the vote, and yes, having an impact has half the vote. And you and I are both in the not sure category.
Well, we'll know tomorrow night. Well, actually, tomorrow night, at this hour, we should be right in. Well, not you, but I could very well be in the thick of things by this time tomorrow night in terms of severe weather.
Could be.
Or just in terms of precipitation, showers, and maybe some thunderstorm. We'll see.
Okay.
But I have the questions on the screen now. Of course, you cannot see them. But the chairman wants to let you and everybody know that we have a new category on Le Brûle Jeopardy for Mr. Chiaffi. How old are they now? Within 4 years, guess how old each actor is, and 7 out of 10 is needed in order for you to pass. And no, he does not provide any potential prizes if you do indeed get 7 or more out of this. So
what's the margin? The margin of error was it 4 last time?
Within 4 years.
Okay,
4
within
years.
4. Okay,
So
go ahead.
You have to guess how old these people are within 4 years. And the first one on the list is Murder, She Wrote star Angela Lansbury.
Angela Lansbury, nominated for 3 times as supporting actress. And by the way, her nomination in her performance in The Manchurian Candidate, not the horrible remake of The Manchurian Candidate, but the original Manchurian Candidate, I think ranks as one of the best performances of any actor or actress in my never to be humble opinion. Miss Lansbury, Angela Lansbury, I'm going to say is 93.
You are within 2. She is 95 years old.
Oh, God bless her.
Amazing. Here's number 2, Rob Petrie, better known to everybody as Mr. Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, Dick Van Dyke? I've seen a few stories about, because he's like 95 or 96. So I'm going to say 90. I'm going to say 95.
Right on the nose, 95. And that beard really, I think, in some cases, you grow a beard and it's not so becoming. But actually, he looks quite distinguished now at 95 with that beard. So.
Oh, by the way, just real quick, Joe. Steve LaPointe hit super chat right now. Thank you, Steve. And he reminded me, too, happy birthday to Timothy Veltman, one of our regulars. And he's on the chat board at the moment.
Well, happy birthday, Tim Veltman. Yeah, Mr. Albany, as we call him.
Yes.
At least I call him. How about number 3 on the list here? Lou Grant, or as we all know,
Ed Asner?
Ed Asner, yes.
My God, I mean, well, he's got. I'm going to guess that he's got to be over 90 now. So I'll say 92.
Within 91 years old. And now here's one that's near and dear to both of our hearts, Joe. And it's hard to believe that she makes this list. Carol Merrill. How old do you think Carol Merrill is?
I think I read it the other day. Oh boy, I'm going to say 81.
You are there within 80 years old.
Oh wow!
Isn't it something that we still go about Carol Merrill, but we have to slap ourselves in the face now to say this is an 80-year-old woman that we're thinking about.
Right.
Number 5 is Mel Brooks, Mr. Funny Man himself, Mel Brooks,
who was married to Anne Bancroft.
Right.
I'm gonna say 96.
Again, just within 95 years old. Mel Brooks, by the way, was on the very first Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He kicked off Johnny's career on the Tonight Show. He was there with people like Groucho Marx and who else was on that show? I think Tony Bennett was on that show, and Tony Bennett, of course, is still around.
Yes.
But yeah, 95 years old for Mel Brooks. Number 6, Kim Novak.
Oh my God, Kim Novak.
Remember her in Picnic?
Yes, in Picnic and in Vertigo.
Yes.
Oh God.
I think in Picnic she was a blonde, but for Picnic she had to dye her hair red for the part.
Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of getting hazy in terms of her year of birth, and I'm not sure how old she was when Hitchcock made Vertigo. So I'll say 88.
Oh my God. Right on the nose. 88 years old, Kim Novak.
Wow.
Good, you're doing great.
I'm like I'm treading water here. You know, I guess I don't want to make I don't want to get any of these wrong. Okay, go on.
Number 7 is Anne Margaret, or if you're a Flintstones fan,
Ooh.
Anne Margrock.
Anne Margaret. Oh my God. 60, 40, 30, 70. I'll say 78.
Within 2, but believe it or not, just like our dear friend Carol Merrill, Anne Margrock or Anne Margaret turned 80. 80 years old now, Joe.
What? Yeah, very attractive woman.
Bob Barker.
Oh, yeah, he's still lurking about somewhere.
Or as Roddy would say, Bob Barker.
Right. He's running around spaying everything in his path. It's spaying, S-P-A-Y, not spraying. I'm going to say he's definitely in his 90s. Oh, God.
Do you want me to answer that? Or?
No. I'll say 95.
Within 2, he is 97 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's a gentleman who I believe was the first African American to win an Oscar in 1964, Sidney Poitier. And he won that Oscar, by the way, for Lilies of the Field,
yes.
which is an absolutely
I love that movie.
knockout. What a fantastic movie that is.
The actress who played the German nun, Sister Charles Edwards.
Right. You know, Sister Charles Edwards probably could have done that.
Well, you know what? She in between, right in the time she was teaching at St. Benedict's, and then of course she would run down to CBS to do the CBS Evening News as Douglas Edwards. She was also, doing this movie. Sidney Poitier, I believe. I mean, he's got to be close to 90. So I'll say 89.
Your first one that you are out of your range, Joe. 94 years
94?
old. 94? Okay. 94. Amen.
Great movie.
Amen. It is great. You don't see that on, I don't know why. I guess American Movie Classics would be the only.
No, Turner Classic Movies actually had that movie on, I would say, 3 times in the last 2 months.
Really?
Yes.
If next time you see the listing and it's on, call me, because I love that movie. Number 10, the last one, James Earl Jones. This is CNN.
92?
90.
All right, so I missed Sidney Poitier by a little bit. But I got 9 out of 10.
Well, I mean, like, the nuns will forgive you for that.
Yes, they should. They better.
I look at this list, but you know what, Joe? I look at this list and I'm kind of sad when I look at it.
Yeah.
Because quite seriously, in 5, most definitely 10 years, most, if not all, of these people will no longer be with us, and they are just they have enlightened our lives.
And you know what? In 5 or 10 years, you and I are going to be on somebody's list. So,
remember those 2 guys who used to talk about weather on the internet? Whatever happened to them?
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Coming up on 8:25 Eastern Time. Let us put an end to this before they put an end to us. Thanks for everybody for being here and taking the time out of your day. The final results of the poll, Joe, with 92 votes cast, our CBS News estimates that yes is the winner. These storms will be impacted by the smoke with 51% of the vote. 22% said no, and 28% weren't sure. Or something.
This almost sounds like something that I don't know if you're aware of who he is, Joe, but he has a show on Saturday mornings on CNN. Smirkanic.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He does radio, but he always finishes his show. Yeah, well, during his show, it's 1 hour long on CNN, and he always has one of these surveys that he asks.
Well, we can do polls here from now on, so this will be good.
Yes.
Big thanks to the chairman, Steve Lapointe, and Wayne Stuckart for hitting Super Chat tonight. Many thanks to the three of you for doing that. And Joe and I will be back tomorrow night when probably we'll be dealing with some thunderstorms around showtime. So we'll see you then. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, folks.